guys, my name is Brittany. Welcome back to my channel. And today I'll be reading some wintry books.
It's Brittany, bitch.
I want to do a reading vlog with just a couple of like wintry books that have like a wintry theme or a setting, but that weren't specifically like holiday romances, because that is the vast majority of my TBR for the next 2 months. So I kind of wanted to put a couple of different books in here. One of them is a holiday romance, but the other two are not. So I wanted to make sure that I at least had like a little bit of diversity, and also these books just like really, I was really feeling the read for these, because one of them is a reread from a really long time ago, so I don't really remember it too well. And the other one is a sequel to a book I just reread. So I'm very excited to get into those. One of the books I'll be reading is The Stupidest Angel by Christopher Moore. And I actually did a reading vlog last year of a bunch of different Christopher Moore books, because he actually was one of my favorite authors when I was a teenager and like my preteen times. Like I read every single one of his books up to that point. And then I just like kind of like stopped after he did his like The Merchant of Venice book. Like I just couldn't get into it. And so I'm trying to like reread some of his old books, but I just will never forget. Some of these are just really funny. The Stupidest Angel is actually the third book in the Pine Cove series, and I've never like read them in order or anything, and I don't, I guess, intend to, because you don't have to do that to understand what's going on in the books. But this is a humor novel about an archangel that comes down for Christmas and wreaks havoc. The full title is A Heartwarming Tale of Christmas Terror. So I'm kind of looking for like a laugh and something funny. I don't remember this book too well, but I mean, no matter what, I feel like a lot of his works kind of like blend into each other, but this one just sounds like a really fun time. And I have the audiobook for this, so I'll probably finish this one first. I'll also be reading A Season for Second Chances by Jenny Bayliss, and this is a book about second chances. We have our main character who is divorced after like 26 years, and her kids are growing up, and I believe she moves to a little idyllic little seaside town. So I'm just like really down for the vibes of this book. It just seems like a really wintry, fun book, and I'm obsessed with the cover. I just love so many of these freaking art styles, like these romance books. They're just giving it, dude. They are giving. I love winter stories. I love holiday romances. I love idyllic seaside towns. This just sounds like it's up my alley. I don't really know too much about it, but I'm really excited for this. And of course, I cannot find the audiobook for this, but this looks like a kind of a chunky book, I'm not gonna lie, but it's a really nice floppy paperback, so I'm all for it. And the third book I'll be reading is Us Against You by Frederick Bachman, and this is the sequel to Beartown, which I just reread. I didn't include it in any reading vlogs or anything. I'm doing a really good job of not doing that, because I used to always have to do a reading vlog for every fucking book that I read or include it in a review or whatever. I'm doing a really good job this year of not doing that, because it's very exhausting, and you don't always need to see me reread a book that I already enjoyed. You know what I'm saying? So I can't really tell you too much about it, I guess, but at the same time, Beartown is kind of well known for what happens in it. There's a sexual assault that rocks a town, and this is the sequel to follow up with what happens. At the end of the book, there's kind of a climax, and then you kind of get to see their lives 10 years from now. So the sequel in a lot of ways doesn't really feel necessary. Like we already kind of like know what happens in the future, because there's like literally a point where like 10 years in the future, they meet in a supermarket and this is what happens. So I'm kind of curious to see how it's gonna go, and if this is necessary. A lot of people said it's quite slow and they didn't feel like it needed a sequel, but there is a third book in the series as well. So this is only the second. But I'm really excited to go back and revisit some of my favorite characters, because there's some really good characters in here, like the lady who owns the bar. I can't remember if her name is Maggie or something. It starts with an M. Is it Maggie, Martha? Oh, look, I got a free prayer card. So I guess it was stuck in the library book, or somebody used it as as a bookmark. It's a prayer to Saint Rita. Isn't it so fun when you find in library books? You know, I might keep this, because I always love a good bookmark, especially one that just sits between the pages. Obviously, I didn't even notice it. What is her name? It's gonna drive me insane. It's the lady who owns the bar, but she's one of my favorite characters on the whole planet. She's just so fucking funny, and she just sticks up for everybody. I hope her name is Maggie, because if it's not, I'll be really fucking upset. Okay, I'm an idiot. I just double checked. Her name's Ramona. I don't know why I kept thinking Maggie for some reason. Her name's Ramona. She is that bitch. So I'm really excited to get into these. I just really want some like winter fun books. So I'm definitely gonna go ahead and jump in. I think The Stupidest Angel first, just because I have it on audio, so I might as well. And then we'll go from there. So I ended up finishing The Stupidest Angel, and I didn't really mean to finish this in basically like a day and a half, but I did, because the audiobook was really fun and easy to listen to. It was like a 6-hour audiobook. I feel like it wasn't even very long. This book was really fun. I feel like this is the exact type of book that I expect from Christopher Moore, and like the kind of writing that I really love of his. I don't know I'm gonna rate it yet. I feel like this is like a 3.75 or like a 4-star. Like I really enjoyed this. It was really fun. It was full of laughs. I feel like the ending was a little like anticlimactic, but I also really enjoyed a lot of other parts of this. And I can't really spoil too much, because with a humor novel like this, there's not always like a whole lot of plot. But I will say there's like an undead gossiping army. There's a really stupid angel. This angel was 10 years late to the birth of Jesus Christ, which was really funny. And I love how this author plays with like everything. He plays with religion and men, women. Like he really like pokes fun at everything, kind of like a very offensive Family Guy episode where they poke fun of pretty much everybody. But I think this book did it really well, where it didn't really offend me. I think the biggest thing that could offend people is there is a woman here named Molly who is off her antipsychotics, and she's having a good fun time talking to this narrator in her head. But she was like my favorite character. She's like this broadsword wielding warrior woman, because when she was younger she actually played that character as an actress, and it was like, it's like her alter ego or something, and she like pops into it when she's off her medication. That was fascinating and really fun, and she was like the best character. She like, I can't tell you what she does, but she's cool. She's a bad bitch, and I love her. So I actually think you might appreciate it, but if you are on antipsychotic medication, you may be like offended by that. I'm not sure. I don't have that personally, so I can't say, but that could be offensive. We also have a talking fruit bat in here from the other book that I just read this year from him again. The Island of the Sequined Love Nun, I think is what it's called. That had Tucker and the fruit bat, and they're both in this novel as well as some of the other characters from the Pine Cove series, because this is the third in the Pine Cove series, and the second one is called like the Lust Lizard of Melancholy Cove or something like that. You don't have to read them in order, but I'm just saying this is technically like the third in the series, but like you don't need to like read all the books in order to like understand what's going on, because they're just still a whole bunch of like fun new characters. There's an accidental murder in here and an accidental Christmas wish. I mean, it's just really kind of fun and different, and it just made me laugh a little bit and giggle and smile. And I think sometimes that's what I just expect out of a humor book. Like this was like the perfect little like palate cleanser that I needed. Also, I just love his writing in general. This book was published 2004, 2005, by the way. So do keep that in mind. Like this is definitely like older. So like that's why a lot of the humor is older. And like they could definitely poke fun at more things than like I think we would nowadays, because not just because of like PC culture in general, which I think a lot of it's really good. But this book definitely could read like a little more offensively for some people. So just keep that in mind. But the author said this book is dedicated to Mike Spradlin, who said, you know, you ought to write a Christmas book, to which I replied, what kind of Christmas book? To which he replied, I don't know, maybe Christmas in Pine Cove or something, to which I replied, K. And then he also has an author's warning that says, if you're buying this book as a gift for your grandma or a kid, you should be aware that it contains cuss words as well as tasteful depictions of cannibalism and people in their 40s having sex. Don't blame me, I told you. I don't know, that's like the type of humor that I just really enjoy from him, and he gets really crude in this. So if you like R-rated like Christmas fun times, I would definitely recommend this. I think this is probably one of his better books. I think this is really fun and like doesn't offend me outright, because some of them definitely when you go back and reread, I'm like, oh, that was not in good taste. But this one I think holds up pretty well, and I think it's just really fun and interesting of like a concept. And I don't want to spoil too much with it, so just go into it kind of blind and just enjoy. If you're looking for like a holiday palette cleanser, I feel like this is just like the perfect option. So I'm pretty happy with this. I'm gonna go return it to the library right now, and I think this is a really good way to start this vlog off, just because it kind of put me in a good mood. And the problem is though, is I kind of want to pick around one of his books. Like he has a writing style that just grabs me and makes me laugh and just pulls me in a good way. Even if I don't remember everything that happened, like at least I had a good time along the way. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I'm gonna return that library book and I'm gonna go shopping. And I already got my tire pressure fixed this morning, because when it's super cold out, you know, the tire pressure just plummets. So when I came out to my car this morning, it was like 35 and my fucking tire light was on. So just a fun little tidbit for you. But anywho, I don't know what book I'll pick up next. I haven't decided. So when I get to it, I'll get to it. But hopefully soon. I have like fucking like 4 wintry, Christmassy, holiday-y vlogs going on. It's just kind of confusing. So let's hope I can just keep them all fucking straight, to be honest.
Cold nips at your toes, wrap up in winter clothes.
So it's been an incredibly long week. I ended up finishing Us Against You on audio after I actually returned the book early to the library when I was returning some other books to the library at the same exact one. So I'm really sorry about that. But I did finish it. So I'm going to probably round this up to 3 stars. I just feel like this book is not as good as its predecessor. You know, Bear Town, I think, was an anomaly. I think it's just a really fantastic book. I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. I just feel like this does not live up to the predecessor at all. It kind of suffers from sequel syndrome, in my opinion. Also, if you hear any creaking or booms, that is my neighbors, and I'm very, very sorry. For some reason, it's just time to let the dogs run around. I really didn't feel like Beartown needed a sequel to begin with, and then I feel like this one just, it lacked a lot of heart. Like, Beartown had so much heart, and I feel like this one was like so much more forced, and Bachman just kept constantly foreshadowing events with like these really preachy as fuck lines. Here are a few from my review. So one of them is, this is not that kind of story. The game may be simple, but people never are. We don't know people until we know their greatest fears. This is not your average love story. What does it take to be a good parent? Not much, just everything, absolutely everything. He was just shoving the shit down our throats. I just feel like he definitely has his moments where he does these like little lines of like foreshadowing and stuff. I just feel like this book, it happened so many fucking times. And it was just, there wasn't enough actual plot, and it was just like way too much of his like exposition of like explaining it. Like he was always this omniscient narrator that was like preaching about everybody. It just kind of got a little bit annoying. I just feel like in the first book, I enjoyed it so much more. And in this one, like, I couldn't even tell you half of what happened until like the last 80%, like 20%, sorry. The last 20%, I feel like is when it actually took off. Like, I feel like the first 80% of this felt like the first like 100 or so pages of Beartown was kind of slow and like character building. But this one, like, we already know most of the characters, and I just feel like it was so slow. Even on audio, I feel like this was kind of a slog to get through. And I feel like when I listened to Beartown on audio, like, I think it was like a month or so ago, to reread it for this reading vlog, I really enjoyed it and gave it 4 stars again, and it was a really fun read and really fun listen. But this one was kind of a slog to get through. I think I'm generously giving it 3 stars, but it just did not slap. So much of this was just like the extended fallout of what actually happened at the end of the last book. And again, I feel like Beartown didn't really need a sequel, and if it did, I just feel like I wanted more things to happen. I feel like not enough happened to keep me interested. What happened to Maya in the first book was just so crazy, and then I feel like she kind of got traumatized again in this one. I'm not going to tell you what happens, but I'm like, can this girl get a fucking break? And also, like, multiple times he kept pulling the bait and switch, acting like something bad was gonna happen to this character, but it really happened to this character in a different scene. Like, he did that, like, it was like over 5 times. Like, it was a lot. Like, he was just like, oh no, like, this happened to them and blah blah, but it didn't happen to them. It happened to like the next person, the next scene. And it was so annoying. I want to get back to the original heart of the first book. Like, the first book was so good and it had so much original heart. It made me really feel and like care, and I just didn't feel it all in this book. And I think that's like the problem, is like the first book I was like able to empathize with our characters, and in this book I just really didn't give 2 shits, except for like maybe a few characters. I think maybe the problem was with the cast. I feel like there was maybe too many characters we were following that I didn't really have as much of an interest in, and the characters that I did really enjoy we didn't see as much. I don't really know. It just, something about this did not work for me. So I think the next question is, will I read the 3rd installment? I don't know. Honestly, I'm really on the fence about reading it, because did I particularly love this one? No. But I kind of want to see where it goes. This definitely blew up a little bit at the end, and it definitely had a couple of things that happened, but like overall, do I care? I don't know. But I also hate like leaving an installment unfinished, especially after I decided to continue on with the series. So the fact that I at least went on to the sequel tells me that I should probably at least try the 3rd book, because this wasn't bad by any means. It just wasn't, I don't know, it didn't hit like the original first book did. Oh my god, I just realized that my nose spray has been in the background the entire time. That's awkward. Anyway, I only have 1 book left in this, which is fantastic. I went to go pick it up from the library because I had to return that copy to that library, and I had to go to the other library and request it because I needed the fucking book. So I'm gonna try and get this one as soon as possible to finish out this lovely reading vlog, and I'm excited for it. I hope it's good. I just feel like I've really been like searching for some 5 stars, and maybe I'm just like not looking in the right place. And I feel like for next year, that's definitely going to be at the top of my like reading list, is things that I think will be 5 stars, but maybe I just don't even know what I like anymore. I don't know. You know, the problem is, I think I've realized it. I used to get so many 4 and 5 stars because when I used to pick out books, it was when I was like in the actual library and I could read them for like a chapter or 2 and see if I even jived with the writing, because that's such a big part of books you don't even really think about sometimes. I'm like, oh, that sounds fun. Like, I like those themes, but the writing can make or break a story. And I feel like every time I used to read in the library, I would like love those books because I really loved the writing captured me, or the story captured me. And I feel like ordering books from the library point blank and not knowing what that author's writing style is like half the time is a problem, because I've never read Jenny Bayless's, any of her stuff. This will be my first book by her. So I hope it's good. I wonder if that's why I've just had so many 2 and 3 stars this year. I've had like an enormous amount. I will come out with the best books of 2022, and there's only 5 on that list. I've only had 9 5-stars this year. 9. Out of like 115 books, like that's fucking shocking. So anyway, I will get back to you guys when I hopefully am like 50% of the way into this lovely, delightful book up here. And I'm really praying it's at least like a 4-star. That would be fantastic.
I've been good all year. So what I want to hear is you'll be mine for Christmas. Can you be mine for Christmas? Would you deny me this much? Oh, to be mine for Christmas.
Finally, I've gotten into this book. It's been quite a while, but I'm actually 120 pages into this. And I normally wouldn't update you this early, but this is a very hefty book. This is almost a full 430 pages, and the writing is not large. It's normal, tiny writing, and I feel like it's kind of a big book for what it is, but so far I'm enjoying it. In this book, we're following Annie, who just found out that her husband Max has again cheated on her, and so she kind of decides this is the final straw, and she chooses to basically house sit / watch this old historical seaside home in exchange for free rent. So Annie goes to the small little seaside town of Willow Bay, and most of this book so far is all about her just kind of like getting to kind of re-know herself after deciding to get divorced, even though she's not technically divorced from Max yet, but she knows she wants to divorce him. She moved out and obviously is living in this little seaside cottage, and she left her business behind, which is a restaurant called the Pomegranate Seat, which is like a very wildly successful restaurant. But she decided to like completely leave everything behind and just go look at this house. A full 120 pages in, we are still just following Annie and some of the quirky residents and getting to know them and getting to know the little seaside town. And I'm not mad at it, but I think it's also because I didn't go into this book with any expectations. A lot of people did not like this book or love aspects of it because they were expecting it to be like a second chance romance, which is what they thought it was. And they're really upset about that. And people were also expecting the romance to be a larger part of this, but I knew going into it that the romance wasn't a huge part, which is why I was like okay with it in this reading vlog. I don't know, something about this is just kind of working for me right now. I'm really enjoying it, and the chapters are really, really quick and very short, and that's something that I love in every book, but I'm really just finding her writing very accessible. And she definitely is very British. Like, it has a very British way about it and the way they speak. And obviously it takes place in Britain, but it's just really funny. And I really like that. It's very like lighthearted and quirky. And it's all about her kind of like rediscovering herself and having a second chance at life, really, after deciding to divorce her husband and like move on with her life. And I really like that aspect of it. I don't know, it's just kind of working for me. I don't know what the rating's going to be yet. I have no idea. I'm not even halfway through, but I'm enjoying it. Maybe when I get to the halfway point, I'll give you guys an update, but so far the romance is nowhere in sight, and we are just enjoying a good time where she's joining a book club and is opening up the tea room in like the little seaside cottage she's in. So that's what's going on so far. It's pretty nice and chill and cozy, and it's a fine time.
All I want is to know that you'll be mine forever. Please say that you're sure that you'll be mine forever. All I want is to know that you'll be mine forever.
I was gonna update you guys when I was like at the 75% mark, but I finally have finished this book. It has taken me an absolute eternity. This book is very, very long, and it definitely read that way after the 50% mark. I feel like up to the 50% mark, I was actually really enjoying the book, and then after that, I think my interest just waned because it was way too long, and there wasn't like a connecting plot other than her just like finding herself in this new little small village. And I think that was a really beautiful theme, but I feel like I needed more to tie me to this. And there was something at the end with someone who I just didn't really care a whole lot about. And it didn't work for me the entire time. I feel like the first half of this was like a really good 3 or 4 star. I was really enjoying it. And then the last half was like a 2 star. Like, it just didn't really do anything for me. So I think overall I'm gonna give it 3 stars. I just feel like that's fair. I really enjoyed a lot of it, and I like her writing, and I like the theme of this. but the romance was tepid. It wasn't really there. I feel like she had more of a romance with this fucking seaside town versus the actual dude. I think one of the most annoying parts is this book was extraordinarily long for what it is, and it's like women's fiction basically, and it's still way too long. It's 430 pages. Okay, it's long. And I just felt really repetitive because her ex-husband, Max, keeps coming back and trying to convince her to be with him and to, you know, stop the divorce. And it just got like a little bit too annoying. Like it kept like happening over and over and over, and like it wasn't ever getting like resolved. And yeah, it happened like at different times and different things happened, but there wasn't enough of a plot, I think, to grant this being this long. It was just way too long for what actually happened in this, and I just didn't really connect with any of the characters. I mean, to be honest, I don't remember many of their names or the personalities. I remember Annie mainly, and John because he's like the love interest, and Max because he's her annoying ass ex. But other than that, like I feel like everybody just kind of like fades into the background. I mean, the story is mainly just about her finding herself again and like finding herself as a 40-something-year-old woman, like rediscovering her life and deciding what she wants from the rest of it. And I really like that aspect. It was just way too long to get there. So overall, I really, really enjoyed it. I like her writing style. I definitely would read more from her, but this book was way too long and it could have been a lot more shortened. And I just feel like, I don't know, like I really like her writing style and it's very fast. I think the only reason I even got to this book is because they had a lot of really short chapters in this, because otherwise I probably would have DNF'd it at some point because it was just too long. I mean, it's also what it is. It was too long without like a really like defining plot point, but it was very low stakes and was very cozy. So if you're really looking for something that's cozy and low stakes and not stressful, I would recommend this. But I will say it's not very Christmassy and it's not super wintry. This is actually more of a book I'd recommend for the autumnal time of the year because it takes a lot of place in September and October. And there's even like a whole Halloween thing, which I didn't realize they celebrate Halloween in Britain or the UK because I was pretty sure they didn't, but I guess this little seaside town does. Is that true of all Britain? I don't know. I don't really have any like friends from the UK anymore. So let me know if you're from the UK, but a lot of places I saw like don't really celebrate Halloween, but this little seaside town really went ham on it. And it was definitely more than like the whole Christmassy thing. There really wasn't much of a mention of Christmas. It kind of ends around Christmas, but I would say this is more of an autumnal book, to be honest. And actually kind of has more of the autumnal colors with like the oranges and stuff. So I'd recommend it more for the fall time of year. That's just me. It felt like a really, really, really long time, but I'm finally done with it. And now I can release this to the public. And I hope you guys have a wonderful holiday season, and I will talk to you guys very soon. Bye.